This meeting is being live streamed. Awesome. Cassandra.
Hi.
Hi, Cassandra. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing great.
There we go.
I love that beautiful dress of yours.
We shall see. It was just one on her rack. She has a whole rack of dresses. So we'll see what happens, but I have a really cool image in mind. So she's very, very talented. So I know she'll bring it to life.
Nice.
So I got to figure it out. And then shoot day is October 20th. So a little ways to go, but I love your red sweater. It's beautiful.
Thank you. You know how many people tell me that red is my color?
I get it too. And I love it. And so I think that's why I notice it, but it does. It looks so good on you.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I am super excited because we have Miss Kendall SummerHawk here with us today. And Kendall, I'm just trying to get this speaker view thing right. Kendall, what is your favorite setting for the view thing?
Oh golly, I don't think I have a favorite setting.
You don't?
No.
I don't either, because I feel like it just kind of, there we go. So we'll just go with the speaker.
I didn't even know you were live.
Oops.
I'm trying to get the two,
The side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember how to do that.
All right, then we'll just do it.
The grid.
Yes. So I am so excited. I'm going to start recording here, even though I think we have one more minute left. And I know some people are joining us directly on our in our group, but I've been looking forward to this interview all weekend because you all get to meet my fabulous mentor, Kendall. And I was just on my way back from the beach. I was just thinking how grateful I am to have landed in your course and through all of your certifications when I first got started. Because now that I've been coaching for a while, I've been through everyone's courses and learned all these things. And I have to say, you set a really high bar, Kendall.
I love hearing that.
Yeah. And, I really appreciate everything I learned from you. And you're just such an empowering and empowered modern mystic. You really, really are. And when I first joined your program, if everyone can mute, that would be awesome. When I first joined your program, it was so refreshing because, and I'll let Kendall tell everyone a little bit more about, her business, but just from my point of view, Kendall is an amazing leader for modern mystics, and she empowers women, and especially people who are already coaches, to become business coaches with a certification, and also can certify you in money mindset. So she is the queen of money mindset, and I quote you all the time because I say, you know what, how you do money is how you do everything. Kendall said.
True.
So Kendall, welcome to today. I'm excited to have you here. I'm excited for our topic, how to vibrationally align with your visibility so much that money chases you. So would you like to tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your business?
Sure. I'll just keep it really brief. I've actually, at the time of coming live here, this is the end of August. So I've been in business now 21 years, which is amazing to me. It feels like it was only 5 years ago. So a long time. We've been certifying people since June of 2009. So 13 years certifying. And I would say that just to keep the bio short, I obviously work from home like everybody does. And and I live in Tucson, Arizona. I have horses. I have a brand new horse coming in from Spain tomorrow. He flies from Spain. I'm so excited. I made a cell phone case cover of him and everything.
Oh my God, beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. So I think though that the main thing is that I have focused. I know that the reason, that God put me on earth in this lifetime is to help women in their money, in their relationship with money. And so everything that I do, no matter what it is that I'm teaching or certifying people in or whatever, I always relate it back to money. And that's the lens that I see everything through. And so I'm here to be of service to each of you, to help you. Mine is a family business, as Marielle knows, family business. I work with my mother, my husband, my brother, and then we have team in addition to that, who are not blood related, but they've been with me for a long time. So they're like cousins in a way. And I really focus on my core belief. Well, my core reason for being here is to empower women's financial independence through coaching, and to really have you love who you are and what you do, and to make fabulous money doing it. So I love this topic of visibility because it's really almost impossible to make a lot of money and to really make that impact that you want to make without being visible. Like you have to, they go hand in hand. And so I know Marielle will talk a little bit more about visibility and money and the relationship between the two of them. So really I'm here, ask me your questions, and I'm here to be of service to you. And just so everybody knows, I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm not a college graduate. I used to be a career waitress many years ago. And, but I broke into seven figures the first time in 2008 was the first time I broke into seven figures. And we've been there ever since, seven or multi-seven figures year after year. So it's something that I've looked at. How did I do it? What's my relationship with money? I'm always experimenting with different things about what our mind and our heart are saying about money, and then how that shows up in the real world. So I'm a girl who gets you both looking at it very soulfully, emotionally, but also very, very practically. So my goal here is to share insights and tips and strategies with you that touch on both the practical and the emotional, the energetic side.
Thank you, Kendall. And you know what? I think that when I first joined your course, one of the things that surprised me the most was just how practical, you are, how well balanced that is in everything that you do, very spiritual and deep, but at the same time, very practical. And I told you on the phone the other day, for me, you've only made it whenever you have a Facebook audience named after you. And that just really speaks to the fact that you really are one of those trailblazers that really started and helped start this whole movement in coaching. And so when I was going through your program, one of the tools that your certification empowers us with are the sacred money archetype assessment tests. So I have used these assessment tests in all of my courses in the mastermind. And one of the things that I tested was this idea that how you do money is how you do everything. So everyone that goes through my visibility programs, they take this assessment, and we literally substitute the word money for visibility, and it works so well. It's like it was made for that.
Yeah, it's a great assessment. The structure of the assessment is really well done. So that's cool. I love that.
Yeah. So why do you think that that money and visibility are so parallel?
I think, and you're the queen of visibility, so I'll defer to you. I think that it's because at our root, at our core for women, and, it's different for guys, and they have their issues with money and visibility, but they're not the same as women. And I think that in our heart of hearts, what happens for women, and I think, Kailash is one of my team members, and I've talked about this a lot, that even though scientifically it's not part of our DNA, we believe it's actually part of our DNA, that as women, our safety is by being part of a group of people, right? Part of a tribe, a herd. I have horses, so I think about herds quite a lot, but a tribe. And when you think about, if you go back to cave woman times, a woman was typically always burdened with pregnancy and childcare. child rearing. So she's very dependent on the other women in her tribe and the men to bring in food, literally for their survival. And so, I know that that's not how we are these days, but that's still within us. That's still deeply seated in us as a species. And so to be kicked out of the tribe, to not be part of the group anymore, is literally your life is at stake. You will die most likely. And so I think that what happens with both visibility and money, and the two are so intertwined, it is fascinating, is that I think we unconsciously fear being kicked out of the tribe. If we make more money than the people around us, will we suffer from disapproval, too much judgment, be kicked out of the tribe? Maybe not literally these days, but energetically we can feel like that. Same thing with visibility. If we're a tall poppy, if we shine above other people, will we be kicked out of the tribe? Will we be sabotaged in some way? Will we lose love and approval? And I think those are those two things, both those topics, visibility and money, I think that's what they have in common.
Definitely. I agree. Do you think that that women, specifically like soulful women, modern mystics, have a little bit more of an issue when it comes to money and mindset?
I think it's just a different issue. I think it's a different issue. I think about, because I know people in my horse world, I know quite a few people not in the entrepreneurial space, right? So I'm either, totally immersed in the entrepreneurial space, because when I was little growing up, my mom always worked for herself and she was successful. She was a hairdresser and she always taught us, you work for yourself. You work for yourself, you do something that's creative and you do something that's portable so that you can go anywhere. And that's what my brother and I were taught. I have a brother who's a year younger. Right. And isn't that great, right? And so I've been around entrepreneurs and people who work for themselves, all my life. But when I think about the people who don't work for themselves, I think they just have different issues around money and visibility. I think in the modern mystic, it's such a great phrase. I think the issue there is really this acceptance that it's okay to be spiritual and make money. It's okay to be soulful and make money. And I, have said for, like the last 15, 18 years, is that I really believe that making fabulous money is part of our spiritual path. I really believe that is part of our spiritual path. And the reason I say that is twofold. One is because as we focus on making money, it's a mirror for us. Money is a mirror, and it mirrors all our crap, right? All of our sense of unworthiness, not enoughness, our fears. It mirrors all of that for us. And even when people say, well, I'm not in it for the money, and they have this kind of like disdainful, what I call spiritual snobbery, disdainful air about it. There's stuff there. That when I hear someone speak that way, and like, okay, that tells me, that gives me a glimpse into their inner world. And so I don't have judgment about it because we all have our money stuff, but it's, I'm always looking for the glimpses into our inner world. So I think for the modern mystic, it's this decision to say, I can be a modern mystic. I can be a spiritually attuned woman, and I can make crap tons of money. And in the process of making all that money, I'm going to learn things about myself that I never knew before. I'm going to heal old wounds. I'm going to open up new ways I can expand as a human being. I'm going to let go of a lot of guilt. For me, it's shame. I'm going to let go of some of these emotional issues, or at least evolve them to a much higher levels where they're not so easily triggered. And I'm going to be able to make a lot of money. And in the process of making money, and this is the thing that I think the modern mystic really needs to understand, is because we want to help a lot of people. That's why you're here. That's why all of us are here in this type of environment, right? And it's very difficult to help a lot of people and stay broke. And not make money, I should say. Help a lot of people and not make money. That's tough to do. Even Mother Teresa, she had so much money available to her. She flew in a private jet. Let's not kid ourselves here. That woman could fundraise like nobody else, right? And so, it's this understanding that if you truly believe in your desire to help other people, then open up to and making money, because the more people you help, the more money you make. The more money you make, the more people you're helping. It's a symbol, of that you're helping people.
Yeah. I feel like, to your point, there's also so many deep-seated beliefs that come from for some people, religion.
A lot of religion.
A
Yeah.
lot of religion, and the whole idea that, Jesus didn't have money, which is not true.
Not true.
Which is not true. but this glorifying poverty and making it cool. And so I tend to see that a lot of women, like my clients, have an issue at the beginning with like the idea of charging for their gifts, but it's something that I do so naturally. It's something that comes easy to me.
Right? So right there is a belief that because it comes easily to me, therefore I can't charge. Meaning, and I'll reverse it and say, therefore, the only thing I can charge for is stuff that comes difficult, is hard work, and feels like labor. Really? That's what you're saying. I mean, that's what that belief is saying, right? And so that the fact that so why not? So what if the things that come so easily to you, what if you just allowed attached money to that as well? This is so easy and natural for me, as is making money. It's the same thing.
I love that.
See how you can start to link this. These are all decisions we get to make. And some of the decisions are not easy to make. I understand that. I'm not trying to be glib, sitting here having made all these millions of dollars all these years, because I was a girl who was very broke, very poor in my late teens, all throughout my 20s. I mean, really. And Maria, I don't know that you ever really heard any stories. We won't go into it today, but I mean, I've been on government assistance. I lived in a van to save money to go to computer school when I was 22. The food stamps was actually the most humiliating experience in my life. But, and I vowed, like, it brings me to tears, I would never, ever go there again. And I wasn't raised poor, but I've been poor, and poverty sucks. There's nothing glorious about poverty. And God bless the people who make something good out of it, of course, but let's not strive for poverty. Let's not strive for poverty.
Yeah, I remember hearing that story, and I was like, oh my gosh. So, going to that story and then putting yourself through where you lived out of a van, literally, and putting yourself through computer school, to then transitioning to coaching. How was that visibility journey for you back in the day?
It's so funny, because when you talk about visibility, I immediately think of being on stage, or in front of the camera. And you might, I'm sure you have a broader definition of it. But I was asked to come back. I graduated with honors from my computer training, and it was to be a computer programmer. And I was a mediocre computer programmer. Certainly it was not my destiny to do that, but it got me out of being a career waitress. So I remember a couple of years out of school, I was asked to come back and give a speech to that year's graduating class. And I remember being honored to be asked, of course, and so terrified that, and my first husband, the man I was married to at the time, was very supportive, and he drove me there. And even he, who was so supportive afterwards, could really not find any good thing to say other than I lived through it. I was so bad. It was unbelievable. I had like cue cards, and I'm reading from cue cards in the most stilted wooden way imaginable. It was beyond bad. Anyway, so I think about that, and I think about the years after that and how I overcame all that. I mean, literally, I couldn't speak. I would be so nervous to speak, my throat would literally close up and my voice would not come out. Yeah. And then, I ended up doing, for many, many years before we met, did the workshop model. So here I am leading these big workshops with hundreds of people in the room and on a live stream. We'd have anywhere from, we usually had like 250, 300 in the room, another 200, 250 on live stream. So hundreds of people. And like, I owned that stage and I owned that room, right? And so how I went from that being so terrified to that type of ownership took a lot of work, a lot of practice, a lot of soul searching. That's where I realized my fear was that I was going to be kicked out of the tribe somehow, right? And a lot of learning some practical, I mean, not just learning stagecraft and speech preparation, and how to, just the mechanics. There's a lot that I learned about stage dynamics, but also that'll only take you so far. Mechanics will only take you so far. I had to learn to be in my power coming on that stage from the very first time, from the moment I set foot on that stage and own that room and sell $1 million worth of coaching from the stage on day 2 of a 3-day workshop, which I did over and over again. And so I really had to learn how to create connection. And I'm happy to share any tips with you on how I do that, but to create connection, to create a sense of intimacy, and to create a sense of self-ownership of my power, and to be in my power. And so I learned how to do that. And now it's like, bring it on. Bring it on.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Well, you know what? You were the first one to encourage me to get visible and do live streams. And I remember you just giving us workshops on it. And I was so scared, even though I grew up on camera, like in college, instead of working, regular jobs, I used to get paid to do commercials, but it was just fun back then, as I grew up, it just became like this, oh my God, I look terrible. Something shifted for me. Let me ask you this question. What is important to you? Actually, I'll ask that afterwards because I don't want to miss out on your tips that you said. How do you stand in your power? Like, what is it that you do to connect, to stand in your ownership, and to show up as that fully embodied divine feminine leader that you are?
Yeah, I think when I go back, because it's a little different now, I can either skip a few steps or accelerate them. So let me pull it back down to basics. Like, to me, I'm all about fundamentals, and you don't skip the fundamentals really. You can accelerate them, but you don't really skip them. But so for me, what I did is because when I would present, it's like my mom, who's been in every single thing I've ever done, ever. She would say, I'm watching, and she's so loving and supportive and kind, but she'd say, so it's really hard for her to say anything negative about her daughter, right? But she'd say, I see you up there, but I don't know where Kendall is. Like, what happened to Kendall? And I go, yeah, she's like not present. So out of body. So some of the stuff I do is really simple. I actually would go in to the bathroom or wherever. When we were doing big events, I just had my backstage area, but like speaking at networking events or whatever, I go into the bathroom and I would jump up and down on one foot, on the other foot, do this. I mean, really get the body moving and the blood moving, and you feel like an idiot, but I don't care. My job is to show up powerfully on stage. My job is not to look perfect behind stage. Who cares, right? So, so I got really, really good at that, like bringing the energy up, and it's very hard to be frozen with fear if you've got all that blood pumping. And I really figured out how to do that by watching Tony Robbins. He runs to the stage. The man runs, and he's a force of nature anyway. But so that was a tip that has served me hugely. So these days, like before I came on here, I'm not jumping up and down. I mean, I'm good at my game, or on camera. It's not that, this is easy for me. So I can do this all day long, but I'm revving up my energy. I'm walking around the house a little faster, I'm like still doing it. I don't have to do it as much and as big. So that's a big tip. The other tip is I used to show up early all the time. I would show up early and I would stand on the stage, and like at networking events, your stage is often just a corner of a room where everybody else is eating their lunch, right? I mean, stage is a little bit of a grand term a lot of times when you're first starting out. But I would stand where I was going to need to stand, and people, the wait staff would be setting things up, and they're like, "Oh, can I get you anything?" I said, "No, I'm good, thank you." And I'm just preparing. I'm rehearsing. Oh, okay. And they leave you alone. And I would stand there and I would just imagine people and really start to claim the space. And it's like you take your energy and you make it, instead of being all backwards and somewhere else, like you start to expand your energy. You expand your energy. And I'm sure you know this from doing commercials. You got to be bigger on camera because the camera flattens everything. It really robs you of energy quite a bit. So I would just start to really get comfortable literally in the spot where I was going to be standing. And that really helped. The other thing that helped, a couple more small tips. In person, I would go around and introduce myself. That's how I met my husband, Richard, was at a networking event where I was the speaker. I would go around and introduce myself early. Hi, I'm Kendall SummerHawk. I'm the speaker here today, and he and I shook hands and we went, oh.
I love Richard. I love him.
He's such a ham. He's so good on stage.
could see
And
that.
we've spoken together because we've been on stage together in front of, I think it was like 4,000 people. He won an award in his prior industry. He'd won some awards, and they gave him the award on stage at these big conferences, and he brought me up on stage. It was very cool. And we also taught together at those events. But anyway, so claim your space. I mean, back in the day, I would make them move stuff, and they weren't always happy with me because they would set up one of the, I don't know that they would do this now, God, let's hope not, but they would set up those podiums with the microphone. I'm not speaking in front of that thing. I'm not standing with this block where I'm going to be a talking head. I already am working hard to get my energy up, you know? So I would say, you know, do you have, you know, this is back when early days when I was not a name or anything like that. And so there were no clip-on mics easily available, but I'd say, does this mic come off? Well, it does, but we've got to tape to the floor. Well, that's okay. We can just untape it. And so they were not happy with me, but I got them to move my stuff. I think all but one time I got them to move things so that I had free open space between me and the audience. So you got to ask for what you need in order to be comfortable and confident. And I think the last tip I'll share is, especially for the big events. So by the way, introducing yourself to a few people, what brought you here today? I always speak on money, pricing. I'd say, you know, they say, well, I want to hear about pricing. I go, great. Tell me what's an important question that you have. What's a question you have about pricing? So I get 2 or 3 people telling me their questions so that when I was on stage, you know, when it was my turn to speak, I could say, you know, we were talking today, and I would point to somebody. We were talking earlier. One of the biggest questions is blah, blah, blah. So there's this comfort level, because for me, and this is the fundamental piece in the last tip, is that for me, I realized that a lot of my fear and anxiety was around a feeling of disconnection. And so the opposite of that, of course, is connection, right? It's kind of obvious. So I was always after creating connection. And so there's lots of stagecraft, you know them, I mean, I'm sure you're teaching, you look one person in the eye, you look at somebody else in the eye, you're not scanning the room, you make eye contact with somebody. And same thing with the camera. You know, my screen is below, so all of your faces are here. So I have to be disciplined to look at the camera and not look at you over here on my screen. But I look at that camera like it's one human being, one person in that camera. But the connection, what I would do, especially at my big events, is I would imagine, this is personal, but I would imagine golden cords coming from my heart, these golden cords attaching to your heart and to your heart and to your heart, all these golden cords attaching. And it was so cool. So we're connected, right? We're connected. And I'm looking at you, Alex. So we're connected, right? And that was huge. And I am known for creating connection and a sense of intimacy, even with lots of people in the room or on the phone or on Zoom. So I hope those tips are helpful.
Oh, those are super, super helpful. I love that, especially when you just said, you know, this feeling of disconnection is what really makes you nervous, what makes you, and as soon as you start really connecting with people, it's like it's so different. And I think it's because also you're not trying to be perfect. No. You know, like our sense of perfection and expectation of what we're supposed to be like standing behind a podium. When you create that level of intimacy with other people, it's almost like you're not even it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So it's really what you said just sparked something. It's about what you have to decide what you're prioritizing with your visibility. You have to decide what you are prioritizing. And if you don't consciously decide it, your subconscious is going to decide it for you, because guaranteed you're prioritizing something. And so for me, it was prioritizing connection. And I played game, like how quickly can I get into that really nice, relaxed, powerful place? And then I've had hecklers that usually it's always the guys, never the girls heckling me, but you know, people challenging or disruptive, whatever, didn't matter. Bring it on. I'm on my game. I own that stage. Good luck trying to take my power from me. That'll be fun. That'll be fun. So
awesome.
Yeah.
Love it. Let me ask you a question about messaging.
Okay.
What was it, or at what point in your career did you decide to own the talking about pricing? Because I know you're the queen of money mindset, but also pricing. I mean, you've created an entire course about that.
Yeah.
So at what point in your career, one of the things that I find a lot of people struggle with is like really owning a specific aspect of their knowledge and really focusing on that. So for me, for example, it was visibility.
Right.
And I didn't start that way. It just kind of became more and more my
Obvious.
thing.
Yeah.
Obvious. How was that journey for you?
I think it's a great question. I think that I couldn't remember what year it was. It was early on because I've always had this fascination with money. I was the girl in school in first grade, 6, 7, 8 years old, raising her hand to volunteer to be banker because the bank would come and have bank day at my elementary school. And I'm like, I'll be banker, you know, I'll take your nickels and quarters and pennies, you know, and right. It was fun. I would help my mom. She was a hairdresser, so it was mostly cash and checks at that time. And so I would help her count money at the end of the week and prepare deposit slips. So I've been around money in very simplistic ways, very simple ways, but I've always been around it that way. And so I always had that interest. And early in my coaching, it just kind of happened that, when you're coaching, especially business coaching, you're talking about money all the time and pricing. And I just figured, and people were struggling and I'd hear what they're charging. It's like, oh God, no, that's too low. And we'd work on it. And then I got into high ticket. I got into high ticket in 2006, before high ticket was the thing. Back then we called it platinum or premium. We didn't even call it high ticket. So I've been into, and I had a course called, Platinum Program Secrets, I think it was called, how to make 6 figures or more literally overnight with platinum style programs, I think was the whole course title. And I came out with that in 2007 or 8. But anyway, so I've always had this interest. So I think that, and then I had a coach who was a terrible coach for me, but fabulous. And she was a gift at the same time, because I said, I really want to talk more about money. Like, I'm loving this. And she said, oh no, you can't talk about money. Too many people are already doing it. That's not your thing.
Oh,
yeah. And I took it. I was a sponge and I accepted that. And it was about 6 months later, but it never felt right. It wasn't like somebody telling you a truth and you go, oh yeah, that's true. They're calling me on my stuff. No, it felt wrong. And plus that's not even coaching when she said that. And it took about 6 months and I was in the shower. All good things happen in the shower and you're washing your hair and all that.
so true.
And I was thinking about it. And I said out loud, she's wrong. And I just knew I'm talking about money. So at that time I said, I came out of the money closet. I wouldn't say that now, but back then it was okay to say that and stuff. But anyway, and so it just kind of happened. But I think it's a recognition of what are you interested in? And it doesn't matter if there's a bazillion people doing it. So what? It doesn't matter. They can't serve the whole world. You can't serve the whole world either. There's so much freaking business out there that's available to you.
Much.
It's not even funny. You have no idea. It's, and so it's really about saying yes to that intuitive nudge that keeps coming to you and coming to you.
Yeah.
And what you're interested in and what you get excited about. I can talk about money for the rest of my entire life. Sure, you can talk about visibility the rest of your entire life. It's like we're always interested in this. It's exciting.
Yes, it is exciting.
And it's obvious. It's obvious. Like for Marielle, for myself, it's the obvious thing. It's not something you have to go get better at. It's the thing that comes to you so easily and naturally. You think, well, it can't be that. Again, that's a belief. Of course it can be easy.
Totally.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you didn't at all. No, absolutely. So do you ever still have any residues of imposter syndrome?
I do. Of course I do. I'm human. I have it maybe as often as, I don't know, once a week.
Wow, you have a whole audience named after you.
I didn't know that. When you said that before, I'm like, really? I didn't even know. Like,
oh my gosh, that's so funny. Yes.
I decided, by the way, early in my business, I wanted to be at the top. Because, I'm a ruler archetype. We like being at the top. So of course I have imposter syndrome. And I think the difference is that over time, as you practice, everything is a practice, right? Everything is a practice. What you practice, you're always imprinting yourself, always imprinting.
Always.
It's the way our human brains are designed. So you want to consciously choose what you're imprinting. And so I say that because like the thing with imposter or fraud or whatever is that if you have 2 choices. or two paths. You can either say, oh, wow, it's real, and give power to it, like it's a real thing, like it's real and it's true. Or you can say, oh, there it is again. You can be the watcher, the witness, and say, there it is again. That's interesting. What is it that's triggering that for me? And for me, what triggers it very much so is when I am doing things that are new. When I'm doing things that are new, so I feel, I've been in business so long, there's a lot I know how to do because I've done a lot of different things in my business. But like we spent all summer working on infrastructure, working on some back end things, then it's been really hard for me emotionally. It's super easy stuff. Being on Instagram, it's a simple example. I just started getting on Instagram like 3 weeks ago. I'm real awkward with it. It looks pretty, but I'm behind the scenes. I'm awkward. I feel like a puppy that's peeing on itself. I feel, it's hard. It takes me a long time. I don't understand the types of posts, what's cool, what's not cool on Instagram. So I'm just being really vulnerable here with you. So then I can feel stupid, an imposter syndrome.
I so appreciate you saying that, because nowadays there's so many different platforms. Mm-hmm. And there's all these vanity metrics, right? Like how many followers? Well, I'm sorry, you can't really cash followers.
No, you can't.
No. And you can't really be everywhere at the same time. It's just soul sucking. Right. To even try that.
You can if you have a lot of team doing it for you.
If you have a lot of team doing it. And even then, I mean, as I keep growing my team, it's a lot of work to grow your team and train them.
It is.
Like, that's another energy sucker sometimes, but you have to do it anyway. But I feel like a lot of women feel like you have to have all of these followers or you're nobody.
No, I don't think that's true at all. And I think, again, you have to prioritize. So we talked about, what do you want to prioritize when you're speaking, whether on camera, in person? For me, I prioritized connection. That was it. And owning my power. Not connection it was connection and owning my power. That's what I prioritized. Way over perfection. It's okay. And so I think it's also prioritizing which platforms you want to be on. I've prioritized Facebook the last 2 years. So we're really great at Facebook and the Facebook group. And, so Facebook's been my thing. Now I hate Facebook. I think it's a cesspool, but it's been great for the business. Right. And so next is Instagram. And so that we're prioritizing. So I think you have to decide, and you don't need to, I also prioritize being in print. I love being in print. I just think being in print is the coolest thing ever. So I think you don't have to be everywhere. The key thing is choose your metrics. And yes, there is at some point, there's a place where having greater volume does make a difference. Because I'm a conversion queen. I'm all about conversion. And so if you only have, I can't do the math that quickly in my head, but if you have an opt-in page that's converting at 20%, which is really terrible, then, you're not going to get enough whole human beings to register to opt in for your thing without driving a lot of traffic. So I paid attention to conversion because then I don't have to have as much volume. If I have an opt-in page converting at 65, 75%, I don't have to have all that volume coming there in order to meet my numbers. With social media, we now prioritize how many people we have active DM conversations. We're new to selling through DMs. We're a little awkward at it. It's okay. So that, just to circle back to that imposter syndrome, I'm just aware that when I'm doing these things that I feel super awkward doing, that it's a phase. I'll get better at it. And so just I breathe easy and use my essential oils. Let's see, I have surrender and all those ones. So I put on my surrender oil. That helps a lot, actually.
I love it. I love it.
Give yourself a chance to be a student. Give yourself a chance to grow and get good at it. Switch off the critical voice. You're not there yet. You'll get better as you practice. You have to practice. Everything to me is paid practice. Mario, I say that all the time. Everything is paid practice.
Yes, paid practice. I love it. I always remember when I first started doing the business coaching certification, I was in my 3rd week. And you said, no, go get a client now. I was like, but wait, I haven't even finished. That's okay. You already have some tools. you can get it done now. And that's one of the things that I'm really always grateful for, because I borrowed my husband's credit card to sign up for your course.
But it paid off, right?
But it had to pay off.
We're igniters. It had to. That's right. I mean, I know that we in certification, especially the main business coach one, we're business igniters. We're coaching business igniters because we know we're having people where they're coming in at a crossroads. They're wanting to start something new. They have experience they're bringing with them, but they're new to this thing. And that's a vulnerable place. It's a sensitive place to be, right? And so we're so trustworthy and so loving and caring. And at the same time, we set it up to go get a client. 3 weeks in, get a client. You can do it. Because we prioritize that paid practice.
Another thing that I love that I just always took with me is you used to, I think it was in your Empowered Grace course, because I took everything Kendall had. You said, numbers tell a story. Mm-hmm. And so I am not a numbers girl, and I'm not that structured. I'm very creative and big thinking, right? So I love that you just said you have to prioritize which number you're going to focus on. Mm-hmm. And conversions is such a great one. So Kendall, what has to happen in someone's mindset in order for money to actually chase them?
I think that the main thing is a decision. And it's a decision made before the money's showing up. And you've heard me tell this story. So I decided, I got my business to 6 figures relatively quickly, not super fast, because the first year or two, I didn't have any idea what I was doing. But once I figured out what I was doing, then it only took like another year to get to 6 figures. And that was great. It was the most money I'd ever made in my life. I didn't know people making that money. It was mind blowing to me, right? And then the next year I made the same amount of money, maybe 2,000 or 3,000 more. And I thought, well, this is nice. I did it again. Okay. And the third year I made the same amount of money. And I said, okay, I'm grateful and I get it, but this is now stuck. Stuck is stuck. And so I decided to be I really wanted to be $1 million business owner. Like I really wanted that. I wanted it so badly I could taste it. And I made that decision to do that. And I had no idea how to do it. I didn't know anybody doing it. I didn't know who I would be as a byproduct of doing it. I just knew I wanted it. And I don't even know why I wanted it. I just wanted it. And I started seeing everything in my business through the lens of being $1 million business owner, starting with how does a $1 million business owner handle her email? I mean, I was basic. How does a $1 million business owner handle her house cleaning? We're talking basic, okay? And so I started making changes in the business. A lot of them were very small changes because I wasn't making the $1 million yet. But that year, I really doubled down on the high ticket programs. And that year I went from $100,000 to $564,000. That's a huge jump in 1 year. And I will say I worked really hard that year, figuring things out. I ran a lot of different high-end groups at the same time. And then the next year went to $1 million. So from 100,000 to $1 million was 2 years, just 2 years, because of making that decision. So you have to really decide, and it has to be a big enough number. Like you can say, well, I'm making 40,000 a year now, so I'm going to decide to be a $50,000 a year business owner. That's not going to do it. That's a goal. That's not a big decision. You have to choose a number. That's why the $1 million is so powerful, right? That a number that is way out of your comfort zone, that's going to force you to, it's going to shake things up. It's going to force you to look at everything differently. And it wasn't easy. I mean, there were times where I was crying, saying, I had my head in my hands saying, I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I'd pick my head back up and say, I want it. I know I'm going to do this. I know I want this. And I have no timeline, nothing. And I'm so grateful that I did. And because it really, obviously it changed me as a person and for the better. And that's the other thing too. So many women think that money's going to change you. It doesn't. Money's a magnifier. It just magnifies the qualities that are already within you. I'm a generous person. I'm a loving person. I value kindness very highly. I'm a no bullshit person. You don't ever let anybody mess with me and my money. I'm fierce when it comes to all that. But it just is, all those things are magnified. So however you are gets magnified. And some women are, what would get magnified is people taking money from them. right? Family members or whatever. And so if you don't recognize that, if that's who you are, if you don't recognize that early and do the work around that to clear that and put boundaries in place, you're never going to make more money. Why would you? So I think that it's a long answer, but I think that it's really about a decision to say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this without any agenda of time or anything. I'm just going to do it and see what happens. And a lot will happen very, very quickly.
Love it. Thank you. Before we open up the Q&A, I have another question. My last question. What would you do different if you had to start all over again in terms of your visibility and even like taking into account, all the platforms and all the tech that's available at all of this? What would you do different?
Because none of this was available.
No,
not at all.
So Kendall made $1 million without Instagram, ladies.
Oh God. It was email, and I had a list. I made that million in 2008. I always get off of my years. I made that million with a list of like 4,600 people. Open rates were higher then, but that was it. It was all off of high ticket programs. That's how I did it. What would I do differently? I would focus on list growth. Actually, I've never really focused on it, and so my bad. So I would focus on list growth. And that's probably the biggest change that I would make. There's decisions that I made where I gave away my power to certain team members who are no longer with me because I, fired them after a while. But those, I can't regret those decisions because they also helped mature who I am as a business owner and as a woman. So, you get the sweet with the salty at the same time. So from a practical standpoint, I would have, knowing what I know now, I would focus on list growth. I would have focused on Facebook earlier, and I would have focused on Instagram 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a slow adopter, even though I'm technologically pretty savvy, I'm a slow adopter, actually.
Well, you do what works.
I do what works, and that's not where I want to put a lot of my time and energy. I can do the tech, but it's not the love of what I want to do. My thing is in creation and creating things.
Yes. Anything else you want to say about money mindset and the parallel between?
Yeah, I think though that one of the things I can give you as a helpful tip as a practice is that will help more money come to you is you want to practice being Velcro, not Teflon when it comes to money. Okay. You want to be like Velcro. So you always talk about money, chasing is like be Velcro, have that money stick to you, And so one of the things that I do, and I highly recommend, is most women, because it's a natural human thing that when we feel uncomfortable, we do things to rid ourselves, to shed uncomfortable feelings. And many women are uncomfortable. It's so new. It's just within the last 40, 50 years, that even 30 years, that women are making a lot of money. In the first time in our whole human species history, it's like the last 30 years, maybe at the most, women are making money. So we're not even in our infancy. We're not even birthed yet as far as that goes. So what I was going to say that's practical is that you have to get used to having money. And so one of the things that women do is they have money come into their bank account and Teflon, off it goes. It slides right out. Well, I have bills to pay. Well, I have this. Well, I have that. And that's spoken from a place of disempowerment. And I'm not saying don't pay your bills. You need to pay your bills, and pay your program fees tomorrow. Yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying, but that's not coming from an empowered place. It isn't. So what I recommend is there's a lot I recommend around practical money handling. But one thing is when the money comes into your bank account, let it sit there. Let it sit there for 7 days and be with the discomfort because it will be uncomfortable. Let the money sit there and notice what happens for you on day 1, day 2, day 4. Notice how quickly you want to spend it in some way. And I got high, I'm pretty high functioning when it comes to money, but even I can do the Teflon thing. I just do it into a savings account, but it's still the same thing. It's just higher functioning, right? So I have to have this practice too. Just let it sit there. Let it sit there for a week and allow that to happen. Allow myself to get comfortable with it before I move it towards a savings account or, bill payment, stuff like that. So that's what I would highly recommend. So you get comfortable, you're normalizing having more money. And don't tell people who don't support you with that. Just don't tell them the money came in. Tell Marielle, tell your coach.
That is so good. That is so, so good. I feel like I've definitely had those periods in my life where I'm like Teflon and couldn't wait to spend it. And just, but I have extra. What else do I want? And it's so interesting to see through the years how I've transformed that, that, you know, it is okay. It is safe to have money in the bank.
It's safe to have money. It's safe to have, like, my retirement's done. And I didn't start that until really, really late. I got it done very, very quickly. My retirement is done. You know, I have a lot of cash in the bank. The only debt I have is my house, and I have no interest in paying it off. It's not worth it. My interest rate's too low on it. So those are good things to have, and be around women and that are handling money, making money in this way. I don't live a splashy lifestyle. I do spend an extreme amount of money on my horses. I'm not wearing the Gucci bag and the high heels. It's not my thing, but I spend it on my horses, and that's the lifestyle I live. And so, you know, watch who has money and how they handle it. Pay attention and start to just imagine what your dream life looks like. I'm working on my next level dream life. You know,
love it. You know, I do have a comment about that. I remember when I was in your course and really doing everything with you and your team, I was so impressed about your horses and your lifestyle, and how you were never, you showed your success through your lifestyle, through actually living your life well with that. And I think that's really beautiful because, you know, nowadays you see all kinds of coaches doing, you know, sharing their, you know, what's in their wallet or their shoes or whatever. But for you, it was always just like living that successful lifestyle, and no judgment. But I was really turned on by the fact that you had those horses, that you had a hobby, that you had a life outside of work. And that always motivated me. So
my life. It's my life. The horses are my life. I'm into horses, savings, and jewelry. Those are my 3 vices.
I like it.
Me and Elizabeth Taylor, I can relate to Elizabeth Taylor. I have some nice jewelry.
Love it.
So you have to go with what makes you happy and not make it, don't get sucked into what it should look like, you know, because everybody's living this fancy lifestyle on Instagram and they're dying, falling off a cliff to get the picture. Good God, how stupid is that? You know, or the Gucci bag and all that stuff. And that's fine. If that's what they're into, that's great. It's an LA lifestyle. I lived in LA. You couldn't pay me $1 million. You couldn't pay me $10 million to go back there. No, I love my horses. I got my new horse coming from Spain.
Oh, she's beautiful. She looks like a unicorn.
It's a boy. It's a boy.
He looks like a unicorn. He really does.
I hope he behaves like that, because I bought this horse without ever having ridden him.
Oh my goodness.
I know.
Oh my goodness. Well, I would love to open up Q&A.
Yeah, let's do that.
We have a few people in here and a lot
beautiful.
of the group.
Good.
So who wants to go first? Unmute yourself.
I'll turn on the chat.
Any questions?
Yeah, who wants to ask me a question? I am all yours, or you can type it in the chat. They want to know about a link for the archetype assessment for money.
Yes, I will definitely send that link. Also, I have to say that for anyone that is a coach who is wanting to start owning and learning about money mindset and being able to help your clients, Kendall has an amazing program for that. I'll actually send that out tomorrow in an email for anyone that wants to check that out. If you want to send me that link, that would be great.
Yeah, I was just going to say, let me get you the link too, because I'm going to make a note here. I will do that, and you'll have to opt in and take the assessment. And then there's like it's a great information I give you. Listen to the recording before you take the assessment. It's like 10 minutes. It tells you how to take it. Okay. And so that's important to listen to. I'm just making a note. Okay, good. Who wants to ask me a question? Come on, you guys.
I have a question.
Okay, good.
Well, first of all, thank you for coming. I think this was amazing. Like, I love hearing you. Your spirit is just so bright and beautiful. So thank you. I have a question. You said when you went from like that early 6 figures, right? The 100 to the 500. What was it internally that made that shift for you?
It was really the decision to be $1 million business owner. That's really what did it. So I didn't set the goal. So that was my goal. I mean, was $1 million business owner. And I can be pretty obsessive. I was obsessed with it. And Meaning that I wasn't going to let myself off the hook.
Did you have a time frame, or you just were going to work as hard and as quick as possible to achieve that goal?
I would say I was going to work not as quickly. I really honestly didn't have a time frame on it. It never occurred to me to have a time frame on it, truthfully. I did work hard on it. I worked as hard emotionally as I did in the business. And so let me give you an example, because it's easy for people to talk about that stuff. Oh, I did the inner work. And you're like, what inner work? What did that look like? You know, I want to know, did you journal? Did you chant? What did you do? So what I did was, let me just think really quickly. I for sure tracked. So one of the things that I do is I track money coming in to the penny every single day. Every day. And I have done that since the start of my business. So like I have my money tracking sheet here. I do it pencil and paper. I like writing it. I think there's something about that. You can do it in a spreadsheet. There's a whole system around that I've created to deal with the days that are zero. You know, I still have 0 days, even making the kind of money I make, you know, so it happens. But so that's one thing because what you track expands, right? What you track expands. So tracking every penny that comes into your business every single day. And if you're having to write a whole list of zeros, then you go, okay, so that's happening. What am I deciding differently? What options do I have? Like sometimes, this is the thing, it's not always comfortable. When you say work really hard, yes, a lot of the hard work is feeling uncomfortable. Feeling, for me, because I can be hypercritical with myself. I'm a perfectionist. And so I can be really critical, self-deprecating, right? So I just noticing, okay, what comes up for me? Feeling like a failure. Well, I haven't failed because I had a bunch of zeros. What am I selling anything? Like I remember there were times where not very much money was coming in. These are years where I made way more than $1 million. I've had months where not much money was coming in, and I'm going like, okay, well, am I actually making offers? You know, I can't just sit here and, wish it into being. I actually have to do the work, right? Am I making offers? Well, no. Am I clear about what I'm offering? No. Well, no kidding. Nobody's signing, you know what I mean? Nobody's signing up and money's not coming in. This is not rocket science. This is just Hansel and Gretel follow the breadcrumb trail. Do you know what I mean? So I know that's a lot that I just gave to you, but so the money tracking is huge. It is such an eye opener. It's huge. Every single day to the penny, every day.
It was your key performance indicator. It's your KPI.
Yeah, it was my KPI that I used as a catalyst for making different decisions literally about the business. I have, let's see, I almost lost track of your original question. It was a great question. What were some of the other things that I did? I think that I started to look at everything. My suitcase. I remember Kailash and I were traveling. Kailash is my mom. And so we were traveling, and everything was seen through the lens of money, of platinum. At that time, we'd call it platinum. And we were standing there checking into a hotel or at the airport or something. And we looked down at the suitcase, and she said, "That suitcase is not platinum." I said, "No. It had been a birthday gift years before, but it was ratty. It had been used a lot, right? It was dinged up and dirty and damaged and all that." And so I went to TJ Maxx and spent $70 on a new suitcase, after that. So it's just like, you don't have to spend a lot of money, but I made $1 million off a $100 Target desk, a desk from Target that I bought for 99 bucks, but it matched the bookcase. I like things to match and be pretty. Pretty is really important to me. So it's really about just noticing your energy. People noticing your emotions and your energy around money and having nice things. And nice things can be, I have a lot nicer things now than I did before, but I still had things that matched, that weren't broken or dirty. Do you know what I mean? So it's about that having that quality, a feeling of quality that elevates you, even if it's free or very low cost. That's okay. That's okay. And I definitely don't talk about money with people who are not used to high dollar amounts. Don't do it. They won't support you. All they're going to do is lay all their money crap on you. Don't do that. And so like my husband, Richard, and we've worked in the business together now, I don't know, like 14, 15 years. And he's always been around lots of money. He was in the money business. He was a broker for very large transactions before this. So he's always been around money. He could care less about money. He could care less. If it was up to him, we'd live in a tent and give everything away, you know? But we talk about money, but not a lot. I've had to train him actually that when we've had a good month or, you know, whatever, had a good launch for him to, like, I'll say, hey, we did this. And he'll almost not say anything. I go, no, honey, this is where you have to congratulate me and celebrate me. So I've had to train him to do it. But luckily, and he's going, way to go. I go, good, thank you. But I go to Kailash. I go to, you know, whichever mentor I'm working with, my team, you know, so I go to the people who are going to go, oh my God, that's so great. You know, and they're really like excited. That's who you go to. So I think it's just, I know I could keep going on and on about this, but it's, I think it's about making this decision to do it and being unstoppable. When I say obsessed, meaning I'm not going to let myself off the hook. I'm not going to say to myself, well, this is hard. I guess it's not meant to be. Are you kidding me? I'm never going to say that. When I make a decision that I know is exciting and terrifying, I'm sticking to it. Even when it's the terrifying moments, I'm sticking to it. I'm not going to let myself off the hook.
I love that.
Yeah.
We have another question here.
Sorry, you got me excited with that question.
It'll be our last question.
Okay.
If you're able to answer, oh, wait, let me actually find it.
I got it here.
Yeah,
About building a team and not being solo.
that's right.
Yeah, I know it's 5:58 and I have another webinar at 6 o'clock.
Yeah. So I'll start and speak quickly. Okay, Alex. Hire teams sooner than you think, and make the number one piece of advice I can give you about team is that, especially nowadays, more so than ever, is don't be afraid to fire people that aren't working out. I'm quick to fire. Some of my other team doesn't like it. They're like, well, give them a chance. Like, no, I can already see the writing on the wall. It's not going to work out. Be super clear what they're going to do for you that's going to monetize for you. Every person on your team has to make money for you. And it's at the initial baby stage, it's freeing you up so that you can make more money yourself. That stage doesn't last very long. Pretty quickly, like a virtual assistant answering your email as an example of that. But even for me, my customer service person handles any of the credit card declines because we have a lot of volume in my business. So she handles things like that. So she helps make sure that money that we've sold things to, that the people are paying. That's her job. That's how she monetizes customer service. Everybody has to make money for you. Customer service, I also expect them to do some selling through emails or DMs. So think of that way. When you do that, you're going to feel so much more confident hiring people. And just watch your percentage. I don't like team. I haven't looked at it in a while. I don't like the team to be more than about 25% tops of my gross revenue.
Yes.
When it's bigger than that, I'm not happy at all.
That's a good number.
Yeah.
Great number. Awesome. Well, Kendall, if somebody wants to join one of your certification programs, where can they go to learn more about that? And tomorrow I will actually send out a link in an email right before our webinar.
Yeah.
So where can
you can go to my website and they're listed there, which is kendallsummerhawk.com. The bigger one that we offer for becoming a business coach for women entrepreneurs, where you're going to make a ton of money, and we teach a lot about high ticket. That is certifiedcoach.training. Certifiedcoach.training. Go there, and you'll get some basic information, and then you can book a call to talk to us. And we're not hard sell people. We're so confident in what we do. We want the right people in our trainings, so we're very upfront and honest, and we get praised for the quality of our conversations, of our strategy sessions. So you're safe talking to us.
I always felt safe, and I
Yeah.
highly recommend her programs. And
we're the safest place on the planet, honest to God. That's so important because I know what it's like to not feel that. And so that's like a huge value for me, is safety and quality excellence. I'm a woman of excellence. Everything we do is of excellence. So we elevate you to that place too. So much.
True that.
Yeah.
True that. Kendall, thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Thank
you so much, everybody. Appreciate all of you being here today.
Thank you. And everyone else, we are having an amazing webinar tomorrow, and it's all on automation. So how can you start automating sooner rather than later and start building a list, like Kendall said, of buyers instead of tire kickers. No tire kickers. So I will see you all tomorrow.
Thanks.
Watch out for that email. Thank you so much, Kendall. I am so grateful.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. My love to you.
Bye.